Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm a Ukrainian, and I have decided I will vlog daily from my country Ukraine since the start of this awful war with Russia. And in my daily videos I try to update you on the important real life situations in my country Ukraine. And of course I'm always glad to answer your questions and to clarify some facts from our history, our culture, our background, or whatever interests you. And today is the day when I actually want to speak about many things, because I can tell you a lot about the things we observe right now in Russia and the protests they have against mobilization, and that the number of people who can be mobilized is not just 300,000, which is a lot, but even 1 million. Also, I want to speak about this future fake referendums and the dangers of the nuclear war. But today I will dedicate this vlog to happy and important news that so many 215 Ukrainian POWs were actually released from their prisons, from tortures, from danger to be executed every day and returned back to Ukraine. These are brave soldiers and civilians who spent months on Azovstal protecting Ukraine, protecting Mariupol, protecting Azovstal. This is a very happy and extremely important event, and to tell you the truth, all Ukrainians today speak only about that. Because this is a huge inspiration, and many of the people, these prisoners of war, have already become symbols of Ukrainian bravery, Ukrainian strength. And to tell you the truth, once again, many of us did not believe they will return home, especially after the tragedy and mass execution in Olenivka. So what happened? Why did it happen? And so on. The Facebook post that I personally agree with is that today we have to be proud not only of the Ukrainian armed forces, but also of Ukrainian diplomacy. And honestly, I am satisfied that the Minister of Foreign Affairs today and during the war period is Dmytro Kuleba. I like the way he speaks, I like the way he acts, and he's able to keep this balance between being persuasive, strong in his demands, but at the same time diplomatic, polite, and he corresponds to those high-level politicians with whom he communicates. And also President Zelensky, many people were angry at him when they led this corridor and Ukrainian soldiers were taken to prisons and camps on temporarily occupied territory of Ukraine, and some of them were taken to Russia. So many of us were angry and afraid that Russia will not fulfill its obligations traditionally and will execute these people. And to some extent we were right, because the tragedy that happened in Olenivka is just the proof of that. Many Ukrainian soldiers died there as a result of Russian crimes against humanity. They were executed there, and I'm sure in future they will pay a very high price for that. But these 215 soldiers returned back as a result of exchange that included one pro-Russian toxic politician and 55, it seems to me, occupants. What is interesting about this politician, Medvedchuk, he is the god, like Putin is godfather of his daughter. And this looks really ugly and bad. Medvedchuk was quite influential for decades in Ukrainian politics. Definitely he is a totally created by Russian figure. He was an oligarch who earned a lot on the deals with Russia, and he tried to keep close with many of Ukrainian presidents, starting with Kuchma and finishing with Poroshenko. Medvedchuk has a wife who was a very famous Ukrainian TV hostess. She is known to be beautiful. Now she had a serious plastic surgery, and I think not just to update her face, but they believed they will manage to escape, and she moved to Russia through Belarus at the beginning of the war, and he was hiding on the territory of Ukraine for a really long period of time and finally was caught. What is more important about this very bad person is the fact that he was very active back in the USSR times, and he was a state advocate given by USSR state advocate, one very famous Ukrainian poet, Vasil Stus. And this was a very good, talented person who fought for the independence of Ukraine. And his poems were very strong and influential, and he helped a lot to preserve Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian language. And of course, he was persecuted by Soviets, by communists, and taken to court for some minor reasons. And Medvedchuk was appointed by USSR advocate, and he did not want to protect him. And as a result, the poet went to prison and died in prison in 1986. 1986, just 4 or 5 years before the collapse of the Soviet Union. So we have to remember that USSR was awful totalitarian machine that killed people even at the end of its life. And that's why it is so important to prevent Putin's plan to rebuild USSR, no matter how he names that. So this Medvedchuk, being young advocate, working for KGB, working for USSR, managed to continue his political career. He was very close with Russian oligarchs and Russian politicians. He was close to President Kuchma, whom I personally also detest and think he is a father of the Ukrainian oligarchat. And he was once again very close with Russian government. And since then, Medvedchuk was very active in this pro-Russian political movements. Definitely he was funded from Russia, and he even invited Putin to bless his daughter with this TV hostess, and they did that. And they communicated a lot, and he was active in Minsky agreements, and he was always like trying to push Russian interests, but working from the Ukrainian side. So I think starting from 2014, everybody realized that he is an enemy, but at the same time, during negotiations or other stuff, people need this kind of people to talk. So he was active. But when this full-scale war started, perhaps he hoped that Blitzkrieg will be successful. I think he was the one of the very important people to persuade Putin that Ukraine is very pro-Russian, that everything will go smoothly, and 100% he believed that he will become, I don't know, a president or a head of parliament or something really important in this occupied by Russians Ukraine. But he failed. Putin failed. They've committed not just a mistake, but not a crime, but a mistake. And they lost. And he was hiding for a couple of months. Then he was caught by Ukrainian SBU and now exchanged for this Ukrainian heroes. Honestly, I don't think anything good awaits for him in Russia. I guess they don't even need him. Maybe they needed to make some positive statement in the media or something else. I still do not understand why they did that. And maybe Medvedchuk pretty soon will be poisoned there or something will happen to him. But Ukrainians are so happy to see our prisoners of war coming back. These pictures make all of us cry. There are lots of photos that we recognize of the girl that was singing on Azovstal, and her nickname is Ptashka, which means the bird in Ukrainian, of commanders who recorded the videos, and they were so emotional and like nobody believed they will survive, but they did. And once again, this is a very symbolic and important information and inspiring information. Some women who were even pregnant, and many other beautiful, strong people, and they look bad, but they look happy, they smile, and they are alive. And I think with all this love, hugs, support, soon they will be rehabilitated and begin a new life. Of course, they were tortured, and on various press conferences, people who contacted with them tell it. And I think we will learn a lot about Russian violence and Russian crimes from them. And it goes not about like not enough food, but some other awful torture that were applied to them. Many of them were kept in this camps for prisoners on the temporarily occupied territories. Others were taken to Russia. I think they did not have normal contacts with the world, and perhaps they believed They soon would be executed, but they are back home. They are loved, they are photographed, they will tell their stories, and they will definitely become important people in modern Ukrainian history, and of course important in our victory and inspiration for the future generations of Ukrainians, because these are not like fake invented characters. These are real people whose lives we observed in this online regime, watching videos from Azovstal that were actually hurting and making our hearts ache. But this is really good that they are back. Many of them also say that they did not have contact with international organizations like Red Cross, but for me, Red Cross is already a synonym of nothing, if not worse, because they were creating this fake humanitarian corridors. They were trying to stay neutral, and it's impossible when one country comes to occupy the other country. This is about bad and good. This is about black and white. This is about Russia, aggressor, and Ukraine, democratic country that fights for global freedom. So these are the good news that I wanted to share with you. And please let me know what are the other topics you would like me to discuss in my vlogs. Also, I invite you to watch our new series Soviet Myths Debunked, where we talk about facts that operated in global discourse about the USSR, but they are actually fake, and today's Russia inherited them and tries to use them to fuel the military machine. Thank you for buying me coffees, for becoming my patrons. Thank you for your kind comments, and most importantly, thank you for being with Ukraine as this war continues. But we must win, and we will definitely win with your support, your understanding, and like all the positive vibes and thoughts that you send us. Once again, thank you very much, and Slava Ukraini!